how did you use the bye week with a smaller group on the ice, obviously? But what kind of things did you want to do with the time you had to help the really? It's a lot of younger players too. Help them have some time to develop a little bit.
Yeah, our approach last week was, Monday and Tuesday practices, Wednesday off, and then Thursday and Friday, and it was a good week. I mean, obviously we were low on some numbers. We had a couple kids that were left, on the injured list, and so the people we had on the ice, from our standpoint, it was a positive week. Got a lot of things accomplished that we wanted to do, and so that's sort of the group we're going to have in February. So that's how we approach the week. Well, here's the group we have, so we can put lines together. We can work on some things that will make them better players and bring their level of play up, knowing that in February, that when we put the roster to play certain teams and games in that period of time, that's who we're going to be with. So it was a good week, really a good week.
A little bit removed from your group here, but I was wondering if you had a chance to watch Brianna's induction speech yesterday at all?
I saw parts of it. I had some conversations with her yesterday, and as I talked to Todd earlier this morning, it was a great night for her. And I mean, if you just looked around the room of who was getting inducted last night, I mean, it was like who's who, and very impressive. And then have Brianna up there giving her speech and being inducted. A big special night for her family. Something that we as a staff here in Madison are certainly proud of her and what she did for us, but more importantly, what she's doing now with the game of hockey after her playing career. She's giving back, been part of Shattuck Prep School for a number of years, and now going to step into the pro world and coach pro hockey up in Minnesota. So well-earned, well-deserved, and very proud of her. And it's interesting, I don't know, you guys weren't around last night. I showed Todd a picture of my two little grandkids making their way down the tunnel to get onto the ice. We had skate with the Badgers last night. So all the people that came out last night, I thank you. There was a lot of energy in the building. We had two different sessions of skaters. We had little munchkins, I call them, the young ones, and probably 40 or 50 of them. Then we got some older kids on the ice, another 40 or 50 of them. And so they get a chance to skate with our players, and I'm sure some of them, when they're young, look up to Layla Edwards or look up to KK or look up to some other players and say, oh boy, would I love to be that one day. And so you think of Brianna Decker growing up in Wisconsin, not too far from Madison, she got the impression somewhere along the line that, hey, girls can play hockey. Oh, I want to play hockey. And as she finished up her speech last night, talked about, if you're a female out there, what'd she say? Hey, you can make it to the Hockey Hall of Fame, and she showed a lot of kids that you're able to do that, and so it was fun skating last night. Very enjoyable evening.
I know she's the first of what's going to be a few going through that experience, but one of the things she said was that when she was here, you weren't just building a team, you were building a family, and I wonder how that struck you and what that means to you to have kind of played a role in that and in building really everyone that's played here into kind of a group like that.
Well, I think it makes myself and certainly our staff very proud that we were a small piece in what she was able to accomplish, and so that's part of what we try to do. I mean, obviously you want to win games. You're trying to chase the next championship, but along the way, I think more importantly, you want to impact them. And mentor them, off the ice, and they get to know who we are and what our program's about and what the important things our program is, and help them and guide them along the way as they accomplish whether their goals here at Wisconsin or maybe within the national team or Olympic team, and that's all part of the puzzle. So, she's one that got a chance to do it all and do it at a real high level, and for all her efforts and all her commitment and all her hard work. She got rewarded in a lot of special areas, whether it was national championship, Patty Kazmaier, world championship gold medals, Olympic gold medals. I mean, you look at her resume; it's quite impressive.
Just wanting to clear up some of the scheduling with the Olympic group. They're going after you guys are done playing in December, correct? Is there another window in January where they're also going before anyone who's selected is then gone for the thing, or is it just one big window.
We're in a great space right now because this is the longest we're going to have them without them, departing and leaving for a short period of time. But no, December, when we get finished up with our Ohio State series, they'll go into the next rivalry series with Canada. The game's up in Canada this time. And then it looks like, and don't hold me to this, it looks like the latter part of January, whatever that date becomes when the PWHL closes down and they take the college kids, they'll head over to Italy for the Olympics. But there won't be another a week event in January where they'll leave our teams.
Wondering what any of your impressions out of, I know Layla had a big night in Buffalo, just any of your impressions of what you saw from the folks who are back here now, but what they did over the weekend.
I was excited for Layla that she was going to get a chance to play. I mean, a couple of weeks ago as we sat here, you didn't know if that was going to happen or not, but obviously the 2 games in Minnesota got her back into the game speed, and then, for her to go back home and, do a couple events prior to the game and expose herself and use her platform again and do it very well. I was really excited for her, and probably more excited for her to play a game and obviously do well in both games, but more importantly, the one in Cleveland, because again, a lot of people are looking, a lot of people are watching her, and what she does off the ice is very impressive. And then to go on the ice, I'm sure there's a number of kids and families that watched her play in Cleveland, last Thursday and said, hey, I'm going to get my daughter involved in hockey, or hey, look what this young lady did. Even though she grew up in Cleveland, now she's had a chance to play at Wisconsin for a bunch of years. She's won a championship. She's played in the World Championship. She was an MVP in the World Championships, and it looks like she's going to play in the Olympics, so that's pretty cool. So her story is powerful. I was glad she was healthy, and 2, able to play in that game.
This trip is now unique in the conference with the big ice. How do you prepare for that? I'm wondering like what it means, but how do you prepare for it in knowing that there's that extra space you can't get lost in the D zone, especially?
Yeah, there's a lot of white ice out there, and so I think for us it's more about as we prepare, some of the things that we do in practice to help us as we step onto the ice sheet in our practice Thursday afternoon. And so you might do a few more skating drills. You might open practice up in regards to some of the exercise and drills that you're doing, so the girls are skating more and making longer passes. But eventually it comes down to, you step on the ice and you just play the game of hockey. And there's certain things within that game up on the big sheet are going to be different, but you just accept them and play through them.